Alright guys, it's time to get into my week 15 power rankings. We're almost close to the end of the season. We've had teams clinch divisions, we have teams clinch playoff spots, and then it's time to get into my rankings heading into the week 15 season. I'm not going to make this longer. Without further ado, let's dive into it. Alright guys, this is my rankings from week 14 with some things that, looking off top, that are subject to change. So, let's just get right into it. Now, of course, we're going to start off with the teams with the bye weeks. The Ravens, I had them at the A tier. Let me find the Ravens. I'm going to keep the Ravens at A. The Broncos are at B. Going to keep the Broncos at B. The Houston Texans were also a B tier team. Going to keep them there. The Indianapolis Colts, I had them as a B tier team as well. They're going to be there. New England, I had them at the bottom of the pack. I like the things that Drake may have been doing, but they're going to keep them in the bottom. And then the Commanders, I had dropped them last week to a B, and I'm going to keep them there. So we're going to go to the first game of the week, which is Thursday night. We're going to have the Lions versus the Packers. Very close game. The Lions at the end found a way to win this football game. I'm going to keep the Packers at A. I still believe the Packers are rolling high despite the loss. I still believe that defense can have some improvement. Offensively, they have some moments where it's just, I want to say they drop the football, or maybe it's just an inconsistent throw by Jordan Love. But when things are clicking and Josh Jacobs is running the ball, one of the better offenses, and the Lions, despite all the injuries that they have on their defensive side of the ball, despite all the things that is going on with them, they are still playing some unbelievable football. So I'm going to keep the Lions at S, keep the Packers at A, despite the loss. They've been playing good football. Next is the Miami Dolphins versus the New York Jets. I had the Dolphins at B. There's no reason to move them. I'm going to keep them at B. And the Jets, like I said earlier in the season, firing Robert Saleh was not the issue. Basically, this team is more of a roster than a football team. It's just not very good, even though Rodgers threw for 300 yards for the first time in like forever. Still not a very good football team. Still very inconsistent. Defense not lived up. And Dolphins offensively, with Tua, has been much better than what they were without him. And I think if this were a team that Tua stayed healthy for more of the year, they might be in a better spot. Despite their defense, I want to say, at least in my opinion, the Dolphins' defense has just been so wildly inconsistent. Next, we're going to have the Atlanta Falcons versus the Minnesota Vikings. I'm keeping the Vikings at C, and the Minnesota Vikings, I'm keeping them at that A tier. I just believe personally, for the Falcons, I think it's time to go to Michael Penix Jr. Kirk Cousins throughout the last 4 games for them has been struggling, and that's just an emphasis on what he's been doing. Not been playing well. Offensively, team has been playing well. Defensively, they've just been letting up a ton. And I think for them, it's time to make a quarterback change at this point. They don't play action much. I don't see them being more physical running the football, which is another one of their issues. And then when we're talking about the Minnesota Vikings, that offense with Sam Darnold playing the way he's playing, Addison, Jefferson, that defense hasn't been great against the pass, but they did create turnovers against the Atlanta Falcons. So I'm going to put them at the A, keep them at A, and keep the Falcons at C. Next, we have the New Orleans Saints versus the New York Giants. Both teams are going to stay where they were. The Saints are C, and the Giants, they just get in their own way. It's not a very good football team. And the Saints have their moments where they get yards and bunches. They just can't close on opportunities. And their defense, they did play well, but they say it's the Giants. I still think they're getting a little old. But that Giants team it's just not very good. Let's just be frank. It's a terrible football team. Brian Dable's on the hot seat, even though I think some of the things he's been given to work with aren't necessarily great. But I still think he's on a hot seat, and they're terrible. Next, we're going to go to the Cleveland Browns versus the Philadelphia Eagles. The Browns are becoming back to the old Browns that we've been used to seeing over the last few years. Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm keeping them at that S tier. Russell Wilson is continuing to play good football. Their defense is continuing to dominate, and they have been better running the football. That defense is just special, and Mike Tomlin is personally my favorite coach in the NFL. So, still one of the better teams in football. One of the teams that has the possibility to take down the Chiefs. And the Browns are just so sporadic. Their defense has not lived up to anything we thought they would be coming into the year. And offensively, just so inconsistent. Next, we're going to have the Buccaneers versus the Raiders. The Raiders still have quarterback issues. The Bucs, I'm going to keep the Bucs at B. It plays solid enough. I'm not a big believer in as far as their defense is just, it's a wish-wash for me with the Bucs defense. I know it's the Raiders, so, I mean, take it with a little bit of a grain of salt because the Raiders are terrible. But that defense for the Buccaneers is a bit inconsistent. Baker played some really good football this past week, so I'm going to keep them at a B, and the Raiders are just terrible. Next, we're going to have the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Tennessee Titans, two terrible football teams. Honestly, the game wasn't much fun to watch to begin with. The Jaguars just pulled it out by the skin of their teeth. Both teams offensively just god-awful. I don't know. It's still crazy that Doug Peterson has his job at this point because he was brought in to develop that offense, and it just hasn't been all year. Even when Trevor Lawrence is healthy, it hasn't been all year. Defensively, I don't know. Just two terrible football teams that's just missed to rebuilds at this point. And Will Levis getting hurt doesn't help. So, yeah, they both suck. Let's just be honest. Today's video is brought to you by ExpressVPN. For me, it is very important to have a VPN to protect my online privacy. It'd be very, very creepy if there was someone out there who kept a log of every single thing that you did online. So why let your internet provider really do that to you online? The best thing to do is to get yourself a VPN, and why not go with the ExpressVPN, the best VPN available. Personally, I like it for the fact that you can unlock Netflix shows that you do not get in the US market. Now, one show that I've started to get myself into is Brooklyn Nine-Nine. You search Brooklyn Nine-Nine in the US, doesn't come up, but you can switch your location to Canada, and you can research Brooklyn Nine-Nine again, and bam, it pops up right then and there, and you can catch up on your episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Now, if you click the link in the description below, you will get 3 free months of ExpressVPN. Just by clicking the link below and you sign up today, you will get 3 months free of ExpressVPN. All you have to do is click the link down below, and you will get ExpressVPN. Now, let's just get back to the video. Next, we're going to have the Seattle Seahawks versus the Arizona Cardinals. I'm keeping the Seahawks at a B. I want to leave the Cardinals. I'm dropping the Cardinals, and the only reason I'm doing that is because they have moments where that offense just looks so inconsistent. I've always told you guys, I wasn't the biggest believer in Kyler Murray. I just wasn't. That defense, they have played a little bit better than last week. They need to run the football a little bit more because Kyler Murray, I've always said, is just not the quarterback that people think he is as far as passing the football. He's dynamic as an athlete, but I'm not a big believer in him. I'm just not. So I'm dropping the Cardinals to a C. Next, we're going to have Buffalo Bills versus the LA Rams. I'm still keeping the Bills at an S. Crazy to believe. I'm moving the Rams up to an A. And the only reason I'm doing that is, yeah, the record might say 7-6, but this team is starting to get really hot down the stretch. They're starting to play much better as a team. Matthew Stafford is one of those quarterbacks where you just don't want to see that defense. They did play Buffalo, so great assault. They didn't play well. But if Matthew Stafford clicks like this, I personally think the Rams are going to be a very dangerous team down the stretch in the NFC. Be aware. Just be very aware of the Rams because they can be dangerously hot offensively with Sean McVay and the things that he's been doing with that offense from the Cool and Cup and Kyron Williams running football. This team has the potential to be very dangerous down the stretch. Just be aware. And the Bills, Josh Allen played magnificent football, but that defense just did not play well at all. At all. Josh Allen is still the MVP. Accounted for 6 touchdowns, 3 rushing, 3 passing, no interceptions, and they lost. I put that on their defense. But I still think the Bills, despite that loss, one of the better teams in the league. Next is the Bears and the 49ers. Honestly, I am dropping the Bears to a D, and I'm putting the 49ers at B. And the reason I'm dropping the Bears to a D, I mean, Jesus Christ. They just find different ways to lose, whether it's blowouts, blocked field goals, Hail Mary, look like trash. They just lose. And we thought this Bears team would have got the jolt of firing Matt Eberflus. It looks like San Francisco got the jolt in that game, whether the Bears couldn't stop the run, the 49ers was running down the throats. The play action pass for the 49ers was working so well, and George Kittle rejuvenated over struggling the past few weeks. That defense for the 49ers just looked magnificent against the Bears offense that has been playing better down the stretch the last few games since the firing of Shane Waldron. But the Bears are just awful right now. And the 49ers, could this be the game that turns their season around? Despite all of the injuries that they had, can this be the game that finally turns their fortunes? Could it be? So just mark this game for the 49ers, and let's see how it goes down the stretch. This could be the game that turns them around. The Philadelphia Eagles versus the Carolina Panthers. The Eagles at an S, despite their passing game having a bit of a struggles against the Panthers. And I'm keeping the Panthers at C. They have just been in ball games, but they just don't have the talent to kind of get over those ball games. Bryce Young has still been playing a lot better these past few weeks. That defense has played a lot better these past few weeks. I just think the Eagles outclassed them a little bit and just made enough plays down the stretch. But the Eagles' passing game just has to be more consistent. We know they can run the football. We know that the Eagles' defense is dominant and threatening. But they have to throw the football just a bit better if you want to continue to win football games against better football teams. So I'm keeping the Eagles at S for now, and I'm keeping the Panthers at C. The Chiefs, S. I'm keeping it. The Chargers just. Only reason I'm moving the Chargers, they just, to me, and I'm watching them against the Chiefs. Number one, they struggle to run the football sometimes. 2, they struggle to. I think they don't utilize running backs out of the backfield enough, and that defense has been playing a lot better. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna change my mind. Chargers still an A. They have a very good defense. It's just, I personally believe they have to be better running the football. At least from what I've seen, especially this past week, they have to be better up front. They have to be better as far as utilizing the running backs in their offense. Is something that they don't do. And they have to be, to me, at least better at getting those midfield shots, getting some of those plays, not trying to get all in chunk plays. But I still believe that this Chargers team is a really solid football team. All right, we got the Monday night contest, the Bengals versus the Cowboys. And as crazy as me going to do, I'm going to move the Bengals up to a B. They play a lot better defensively, even though the Cowboys didn't have their quarterback, of course. Cooper Rush, he did make some throws. The Cowboys defense did step up a bit, but at the end, I think there was just a little bit too much after the block punt. I'm going to keep the Cowboys at a C, but I just really think they did play a much better football game than what they've been the last couple of weeks. Well, at least in my opinion, what I've seen from them. They did make some plays, but overall, I think this is probably one of the better Bengal games, and it probably was one of the games that finally went their way this season. But nonetheless, I'm moving the Bengals up to a B, but I am keeping the Cowboys at C. I don't think there's enough for me to move them down. But these are my rankings for the week. Make sure you guys leave your thoughts, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.